Hey, good afternoon. And we're going live to talk about the Glasgow Goddess Gathering today. And with me, I've got Emma Toms, who is one of our stars on Sunday. Emma, thanks so much for coming on the live and giving us your time. I know how busy you are. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, shattered but good and excited for this. So yeah, it'll be amazing. I've seen all the Edinburgh stuff, so it looks grand. I can't wait.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, we when the idea kind of came through for this Goddess Gathering to be quite different from the other ones that we've done, in terms of we thought there's so many brilliant retreats going out there right now, so many courses, etc. We want to do something that was a bit different and take people on a journey, making sure that when they go home, they've because it's all about trust. The kind of mantra is, who can you trust? Yourselves. And so the journey into the field is about everything that we really need to know, which sounds a bit woo woo, doesn't it? It's like, oh, everything needs inside, and it's like, well, what does that mean? How do you access that? How do you know what's true? So Julie and Jen, who do the Saturday with me, we kind of got together and just sort of brainstormed this day, and then bringing other people in, to really expand the theme. And I was telling you earlier, Vida B doing family constellations, which was very powerful, very visually powerful to see, that we're not alone. And I think also to see what we're doing to each other without. Realising. Monica Wilde was there. I mean, just a phenomenally moving story. What a woman. But, you really, and Joe Wolf was there, and you're like, what a lot of these, what we've carried, what we've managed to survive. It's actually like,
it amazes me every day. Yeah, when you look back at what we're holding. Yeah,
absolutely. And, Vida talks about how, perhaps her mother, let's face it, the mother comes up a lot. Whether we like it or not, we can't bury our head in the sand. I had one, I'm one. So, how wounded they may have been, and therefore unable to carry the story forward and be the full, all singing and dancing version of themselves because of what they've been through. So it really, I kind of just looked around the room and I thought, bloody hell, it's just amazing that to be in this time where we can get together like that. We laughed, like belly laughed, cried, danced, and just the love in the room. And I hadn't really set out to make, to think, it's going to be too deep in terms of letting go, but I think it's just the time, the energy. Apparently, there's lots of gamma coming in,
and I think, deep is one of those, something that's always been said about me, but I don't think there's any, where we are at the moment, it's really hard. How far do you go that's too deep? Because actually it runs back such a long way. So it's kind of like, you just got to touch on it, move away, touch on it, move away.
100%. And it's just all energy, right? Anyway, so what does deep even mean? We can make a story.
Exactly.
To say, well, what you're really kind of saying, it means it's going to take a long time to fix and a long time. And it's, and I think that's the other thing that was nice was that just kind of like, we need to look at the dark. Let's not kid on, it's not there. The pains and what's happened to ourselves and to our ancestors. In order for us to heal it, we need to really acknowledge it in the first place.
I think that's where a lot of the stuff has come from, having shoveling it down and never really noticing it or pretending it doesn't exist is where it's now coming up. It's coming up more and more.
Exactly. So can you just talk a little bit for the people that are coming and that, maybe are thinking about coming and wondering what we're on about? Can you just talk about your journey? Because I think like most people that are there, we started working on ourselves, and then when you started to feel better, you thought, I better tell people about it.
I need to share it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you talk about your journey.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about it today because I do like a weekly newsletter for my website, and I do a little Substack, and it was about purpose and how, it helps us get through things. And I think as a young girl, I suffered with autoimmune disease, and I think it was that disconnection from my internal self, that inner knowing that I was denying. And, it did make me very ill and quite depressed. And so, strangely enough, as the path does, it brings things. I lived in a little town in Lincolnshire. There wasn't anything going on. And then all of a sudden, this holistic lifestyle just blew up. A crystal shop just arrived. None of it exists there anymore. It's all kind of gone. But it brought me Reiki, and that was the first kind of time that I really connected to, this energy that I had and how it could change. And it brought me some incredible emotional shifts, which really helped me to start to understand my body a little bit more. But it helped me physically as well. I had huge inflammation in my eye, and lots of times I went to the hospital after a Reiki session, and they're like, I don't know what you've done, but actually, things have changed in there. So, when you see it really reflected back, and I suppose the journey's just grown from there. All sorts of different modalities, Kundalini yoga, tons of stuff. And I'm still learning, I'm still studying at the moment, and it's taking it up another notch, another level. But I've just started to teach Reiki. That's been the next, and watching people, as I did, light up now and see how it works. Oh, it's just, absolutely amazing. And to be able to guide people onto that next step it's been quite an incredible year for me.
Yes. And I mean, I think it's funny, Monica Wilde sort of got on stage and she said, who am I? Who will I be today? She said, I was thinking, because I think the thing is now, all of us have done so many different courses. One course leads to another course, and then we go, we need to bring that in, and we do. So you can't stand up and just say, well, I'm a Kundalini teacher.
No.
Because, I just wouldn't even bother trying to list the amount of courses that I've done. And
No.
of course, all the self-directed learning that we all do on a daily basis via podcasts and YouTube, and, and going to things and picking things up from other teachers and healers and your clients, because you learn so much from them. So it's very difficult, I'm like, what am I? What do you call yourself? Your guide? I don't even like that. It sounds
I had this conversation with my Reiki teacher, and she just said, you're just a weaver, you just weave everything together. And I can't, I mean, trying to make
energy weaver.
Yeah, that's it. You just, none of my sessions are the same. They all use different modalities. They bring different, all sorts of body work and energy shifts and even talking stuff, and I found that more and more, the way that we are held in a space and witnessed is one of the most important things, to be able to shift energy, because actually holding someone in that space allows them to shift their own. I don't really do anything, and the Reiki just adds an extra layer to that. So it's really
lovely. We were just talking about that as well, because you're like, how can you call yourself a healer when the body does the healing? Or
I don't do anything.
The consciousness around, or it's like the healing will happen. And I think the word witness for me is a really big word this year. It's just like witness. So I think we're all in that boat where there's not really any one word really to describe what we do.
No.
And you can't, because I'm in the process of setting up my new business personally, for my healing stuff, which is using a lot of the technology, obviously, that I've related over the last few years, and studying with this kind of doctor, which doesn't even really begin to describe this woman in Canada who is osteopath, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and an MD and a trauma surgeon. You're kind of like, you're getting this phenomenal overview of everything, but then you still go, in actual fact, it's what we do on a daily basis that takes us towards vitality and health, or dis-ease.
Absolutely.
So really, are more courses necessary? Is more knowledge necessary? Can we just create communities where we can live in a way that is conducive, connected.
I think connection, and I think that's what's definitely come up in my work this year more and more, is that how many people need to just be seen and heard, to allow that stuff to come up, to be just let go of, you know, and then the rest comes. And I think it's working, you know, through the body, allowing that to be felt and processed, has definitely, yeah. So it is learning. And does it ever stop? Does that knowledge ever stop? You know, like you say, every day. It's like, I mean, it's mind blowing, and that's really been, you know, what I did at school was absolute pants, you know, in comparison to what I've learned since. Yeah, and no university could have given me that. So
Absolutely
yeah.
not. And also, I think the fact that so much is available online now, and that's a huge gift, is that you can actually go in the direction that intrigues you.
Yeah.
So the learning can be phenomenal. I mean, myself and my friend Rachel have been, obviously got big into sound. I'm doing with a technology I've got very bespoke. You'll see it at the weekend. Very bespoke. You do a voice print of everybody in the room, and then it reads the frequencies that need to
Wow.
be balanced, and then I get the amp and the amp coil and put that frequency out to everybody just lying in the room. So it's a totally bespoke
Yeah.
sound healing. Don't get me wrong, you can't beat the gongs and the folds. I mean, but this is quite phenomenal because music is medicine.
Oh, absolutely. I went to Reiki gathering in Glasgow a couple of weekends ago, and I took one of my students, and that's the first time she'd experienced the gongs, and then they all drummed. And she was like, wow, you know, just that kind of heart medicine. And that really creates connection too, you know, that real kind of drumming together and being in that sense of community. It's lovely.
Yeah, well, we finished the Edinburgh one with Julia Squared with the bowls and the gongs,
Yeah.
and one of the women there had a seeing of beings. And I'll not go into it too much because it's kind of a bit private, but it was like, what? We've just kind of started off because I don't normally do PowerPoints, but I wanted people to get a visual of what we're talking about here in the electromagnetic field so that people are understanding that, everything has a frequency, as we know. Certain bacteria is at 20 hertz, fungus can be at 483, some other things are at 20,000 hertz. And we're able now to tailor the issue, the
Yeah.
stress, the body stress, and also harmonise the body stress with sound.
Lovely. Technology has the greatest kind of benefits. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, but hands-on, you can't beat hands-on either. Do you feel that? We want to give people stuff that they can do at home, but I mean, you do hands-on as well, don't you? Obviously with Reiki.
Yeah. I mean, I've always worked with the body at some level. I mean, I worked, on a ward in a busy hospital for a long time as well. So everything has been around full on connection, seeing people and understanding them. And yeah, I do one-to-one work, and the shifts that I see, even, I had a Reiki share here the other week with some of the students together, and watching them, I was just in absolute, my heart was full to the brim, just watching everyone share and, just moving energy constantly, sending it distantly as well. And Reiki has really, what was really clunky a few years ago, how I found it really hard to connect. Now it's just, you can, the way I work has changed. I literally get into people's field and move and breathe. I suppose it's quite shamanic really in lots of ways, but it's lovely to work with the body.
But I think that's what's amazing, is that we're all, we're blending, all the different things that we're learning, but we're also using our own intuition and flow to create something that's really quite specific to ourselves.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Main, I don't know if you know Jennifer. She's
I did one of the workshops actually the other week.
She's a theta healer. She teaches theta and ceremonies and basically purpose. Who are we and why are we here? it's very difficult to tell you what she does because I've never seen anybody else do it quite like her. She's very psychic and she sees things. So, but she's a brilliant teacher as well. And after the Saturday, we were all back at my pal's house, and she was talking about her apprenticeship, and I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot you were doing that." I said, "You need to tell people about that because what she's wanting to do now, obviously, is share the way she does it and teach other. Let's face it, it's
Amazing.
probably going to be women, but it could be men easily,
Mm.
in her way, because and what do you call it? You know, again, there's
It's
no.
so unique, isn't it? And it's very Aquarian age, that, you know, bringing in the technology and also that uniqueness that benefits everyone and passing that. That's just so lovely to see it all kind of, you know, working out when you can watch it. You know, it's just lovely. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about what you're going to do on the Sunday at the gathering in
Yeah,
Glasgow in the hotel?
so I'm trying to kind of bring a little bit of everything I do together. Kundalini yoga has been a massive, you know, shifting of energy for me, and definitely works alongside Reiki as well. So we're going to do a little bit of journaling to kind of notice in the body, you know, where you're feeling things, just because it's nice to, I don't know, get a little bit of proof that where you're feeling it, because obviously we all get things in a stronger sense than others. And I know this is what I, you know, go through with my Reiki training, is where do you feel it? How are you sensing it? I mean, I don't generally get a lot of physical sensations, but I know I just get a deep knowing of where I need to go on the body. So a little bit of journaling, and trying to find out where you're understanding the messages that are coming and where they're coming from. And then a little bit of breath work with Kundalini with some chant, which is layer yoga, which is very much about working with that energy right up the spine and getting into that rhythmic pattern to tap into the inner knowing, your field, your internal intuition. And probably a little bit of a Reiki meditation as well, to see if we can just bring that kind of settle in at the end. So I'm hoping that I've got enough time for it all. We'll squeeze it in, I'm sure.
Well, you will have. Well, you definitely will have time, because that's just how it works.
Yeah, it will.
To be in there is going to be in there.
Absolutely.
We had my friend Sue, who the Singing Heart. She was meant to be joining us on the Sunday, but sadly she's just lost her partner, so won't be able to come. And but anyway, there's so many goddesses there with so many things. It's really nice to have space, you know, to allow for the flow and to see what comes up as well. So
definitely, yeah. I always have a nice laid out plan, and then whatever comes.
It turns out I think we all kind of do that as well.
Everything's on a bit of paper, and mostly, you know, I go and do a class, and none of that ever gets me.
Oh, there's Kirsten. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, so that's phenomenal. So the whole theme, obviously, is this, you know, enter the field of inner knowing, and the mission is that everyone leaves with a greater sense of awe around the body, the energy system that they are. And Kirsten, who is my right-hand woman, she's been really on. We've got the Goddess Gathering group, which we set up a few years ago, but obviously the Goddess Gathering, we haven't really been as active since COVID. Like, I think a lot of people are just really getting back into the swing now. So we've got the group there where we can really keep people connected, because really the way I saw the Goddess Gatherings last year was that the women that are showing up are leaders. I mean, they might not even know it, but to actually show up to something like that takes a level of courage. Not that you need any courage to come, because it's really well held and you're not going to get picked out to do anything. But that, you know, that we can actually have that, the feeling that we are energy, that Reiki allows you, you know, that you experience. Because I know I was kind of functioning from here up, and until I actually started to realise, my God, this is energy. my thoughts, my feelings, my perceptions, my beliefs, my actions, my relationships with everything and everybody are all affecting this energy system. And we have the biofield viewer, which you'll see as well, which
That'll be
is
interesting.
basically just lets you see your chakra system. It's so cool. And and then obviously we have the sound, the bespoke sound voice prints that you can do individually, but you can do as a group as well. So that's what my new business is going to be called, Good Vibrations, because
Fantastic.
well, yeah, I mean, I think there definitely things are changing and people are questioning the status quo for all diseases. And so I think if we can have a way to measure people's progress in a really safe way, that could be really beneficial, because we all need, like you said before, we all need that feedback, that evidence, if you like, to say.
It creates trust, doesn't it? It creates that, we're so used to receiving evidence from, blood tests and things like that, that I think it's that the next level, isn't it, of guiding people through so they can actually see that this works. I mean, we do feel it, but I think just because we're not totally in tune, when we're at that, especially when we're healing from something that's knocked us quite a bit, it takes us a while to actually trust that we are actually getting better. And so, yeah, it's nice to have it on a
yes,
screen.
Exactly. And that whole, we know the placebo can be very powerful, and the whole kind of like, oh yeah, actually I just put myself on there just before I was chatting to you, and I was like, God, things have really moved, in terms of now, not that I wouldn't back them up obviously with nutrition and herbs, etc., with other protocols, because I think this is I'm not sure if you find this, but people are always wondering, especially with chronic autoimmune, it can be a long time, and you may get better so slowly you don't even know you're getting better. No. It takes somebody to point it out to you. My brother, he was really unwell and he's much, much better. He's not better enough for his, he's not as good as he would like to be. So therefore, he's still not really noticed that how far he's come in 6 months,
Yeah.
And this is I'm always saying to people, you've got to be in it for 2 years. Forget it. You may not get a result for that amount of time, and nobody wants to hear that, including me.
I'm a big believer in that, though. Like, especially for me. I mean, I got unwell at 17. I'm 40. Well, got unwell well before that, but I'm 47, whatever, before I really started to think, I've got some. I'm available to kind of get in there and deal with this stuff now, process it all, and it's kind of. It is about healing, but it's also about knowing the things that you need for your body, and that changes, and that's empowerment, isn't it? And all those different tools and learnings and things and groups like this, where you can think, oh, well, that might be right for me and this might be right for me. And yeah, it takes a while to get ill, so it's going to take a while to get well.
Absolutely. And if you were trying to change the health of any ecosystem, you would know perfectly well you don't drop a few pills in for 5 days and expect, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
That's what we're used to, though, isn't it? That's
yes, exactly.
That we currently inhabit.
So with the kind of learning I've been doing, around the parasites, etc., and all the lovely little things that are living inside all of us, and travel's a big thing.
Yeah.
One of the big reasons for that, and also having sex with other humans, maybe multiple other humans. That's another way, that the body is getting all this information that perhaps, X amount of years ago, the body wasn't exposed to all that.
So, it's a big breath in kind of thing.
So I'm looking in going, oh, I wish I'd known that when I was...
I know, it's so interesting. I mean, the study that I'm doing at the moment is about, root cause, and it does go quite deep, and it is about, sitting and asking the right questions to yourself and self-compassion and really understanding. And it's, it's a big blend of all sorts of stuff, trauma work and, Chinese medicine and stuff, but it's so interesting. It blows my mind.
Yeah, Joe was there, Joe Wolfe, talking about German new medicine, and she's got 3 different modalities, all very similar. I can't remember the name of the other 2, but all around Roger Hamer's work.
Yeah.
And also obviously how he started when he was having treatment. But the other interesting thing that both Joe and Julie said the voice in their head told them they had cancer before they got a diagnosis. Their intuition told them, which was
Interesting.
really interesting. You know, two people in that room. It's like, what? And then obviously they went on to have the kind of more conventional tests and find out that yes, the information that they'd been given was true. And then obviously, and you know, the other beautiful thing that Joe came away with was she's, you know, we're talking about the conflict and how it affects the brain and then what organ that will connect to. So therefore
Yeah.
how the body will express its trauma,
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
different from you or me. And this is again, I think, another thing that because my big passion with this tour is to get all this information out to people so that they're excited and inspired by it rather than terrified about that word. Do you know what I mean? Or whether
Yeah.
it's incurable and terrible, all these horrible words that we use. And she said, you know, cancer is an evolutionary process, not a punishment. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How much nicer is that way to
Yeah.
feel?
And I think that's definitely the way I, you know, look at my journey now is, you know, it is that you experience this. This is how the body reacted. This is what you had to learn. This is how you know, and it's yeah. But we do see illness as like it's given to us. It's not something we experience. It's funny, isn't it, how we're so kind of, and this is what's so lovely about doing this, is that it's very internal. It's very about that internal journey, and that's been my experience definitely, and what I teach. You know, it's what's going on for you. You can't support someone else if you're not, you know, in touch with what's going on there. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you know, the way I didn't design this, the universe designed the way it happened on Sunday, because Vida, my friend who does family constellations, it was her mum's birthday. So she said, can you put me on first? Right. So she went first and then Joe, but it was perfect because we observed the family constellation, we observed the ancestors before, we observed all the people that had been taken out of the system, and we observed them being put back in, and we all felt the enormity of the whole, you know, system. And then, and you know, and also how unwittingly we're causing pain to each other, or the children are carrying the you know, the parents' pain, and giving it to their children. And then obviously Joe come in then with, and this is how these traumas can then affect the body. And so it was really perfect kind of alignment. And then Monica came in with about the plants and how her story, which was very challenging journey, and how reconnection to nature is where she felt that unconditional love and that connection, etc. And then, of course, we lay down and we just got gonged. Everything got gonged out and bowled out.
There's no better way to end any party.
So we've got Aga coming to Glasgow. She's going to finish the. She's incredible as well. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it just, you know, there's so much good work going on. There's so many amazing women. I'm sure I know there's loads of amazing men doing amazing work as well. But definitely, there's, you know, when you do an event, it's women that are coming in their droves to go, right, I'm showing up now. I'm ready. I've suffered enough. We need to change things. Action, action, action. Let's do it. Show me where to go.
I think that's right. I've suffered enough is definitely the reason for like I'm done doing it this way. And yeah, I think women, they do seem to be leading this field of health and wellness. Like you say, there are brilliant men that are like top of their game with it. But I think, you know, on the ground, there's so many amazing women, you know, small businesses and big businesses that are just spreading the message, and it's just lovely. It's lovely to see, and it's lovely to be a part of.
Do you know, I got the best compliment ever. This woman said, she said, I've been looking to manifest ways to get to see Joe Dispenza. She said, but you're my Scottish Joe Dispenza. I was like, wait till I tell my friend that, because when I discovered Joe Dispenza, I was obsessed. And I mean, he's still to this day the most incredible teacher I've ever come across. But I was every book, every YouTube
Yeah.
video, everything, bought everything off his website. And my pal was like, "You're going to turn into Joe Dispenza."
I'm trying to imagine Joe Dispenza with a Scottish accent now.
So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, so Kirsten's saying hear more about EMT. Can
Oh,
you tell
IMT.
what's
Thank you, Kirsten, for reminding me. So, yeah, I took on a therapy. Basically, what I was finding in the work that I do, especially with Reiki, was people were coming to me really wanting to shift some stuff, but people's needs have changed. You know, everything that's coming up for them is a lot more than it used to be. And I found this, you know, working in the hospital too. And definitely I experienced it as a therapy with some emotional, I suppose they were what we call triggers, really, but things that I knew logically were what they were. This is what I experienced, but the emotions were coming up so strongly. And I suppose it was like re experiencing them. And I went for some therapy and it was so amazing. And it really, it cleared my nervous system, my energy of this stuff. And so, you know, the experience is still there, but the memory has kind of been processed through the body. And so I took on the training myself, and it works so incredibly well. So it's called integral eye movement therapy. So people kind of go, oh, it's EMDR, but it isn't actually. It's very different, and it can work on identity imprints as well. So things that we've, you know, those little identities that we attach to, I am unworthy, I am unlovable, those kinds of things we can really work with. And I've been working with it for about 3 months. And yeah, it's been an incredible shift for people that have really had about 3 women work with me over a 8-session period. And it's come up and moved and changed and come up and moved and changed. And it's really got them out of this sticky energy that's like, you know, each time we want to take a step forward, we're brought back to this thing, that's this energy that's inside of us that we can't quite clear. And so it's been an incredible, yeah, it's such an amazing therapy.
Brilliant. So you'll be introducing that. Can you do some of that?
It's more of a one-to-one, but I can talk a little bit about it. Absolutely. I can find a way to bring that in a little bit. We can maybe just move our eyes a little bit on some memories if I can find time for that. That would be no problem.
Yes. Cool. I mean, obviously, everybody that's come is going to get it gives everybody a chance to really meet you and understand, because I'm sure you find this as well. I mean, well, you know, what can you do to help me? How much is it going to cost? How many sessions do I need? Which are all very real, viable questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So what is lovely about this, these gatherings, is that it's given people a chance to come along and meet people face to face and feel in, you know, to see somebody that resonates, because it's just, you know, that kind of resonating with somebody that you're just drawn to, and you don't need to understand why.
No, there's a reason. There's no accidents ever. I'm a big believer in that. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think it's really nice to get out there, and that really, I'm a homebody. I like working from home. I like being there, but these ways they're really nice ways to connect fully, and for me to learn as well from other people. But yeah, they're definitely important. You know, it's a big, brave step to ask for help sometimes. And I think if you can enter that kind of field where you're working, where there's lots of different people, and just experience their energy, I think that's really important. Yeah.
And yeah, I found I did quite often at retreats at the farm. I do the food, which I love doing, and so I end up quite often at people's retreats, which is really nice. But also when I did Vida's the last time, and I was only doing the evening meal, I think, so it was quite easy. You know, it was quite easy for me in terms of I didn't have to get up at 5 a.m. to do everything and do the retreat.
Yeah.
And you know, you come out the other end and you think, God, you've got to really put yourself through your retreats too.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise because unless you're very, very strict with your protocols, and who really has the time to do all that every day? It's really nice to just put yourself into a retreat, even if it is just for 2 days, to really just recharge your batteries, find out what's going on, because this age of information is mental. You know,
That.
when I was driving to Edinburgh last week, I listened to about 3 Zach Bush. I'm obsessed with Zach Bush. I just love his language, and just
Yeah,
talking about how actually walking in nature improves your microbiome and the diversity the body
I can
brings it in.
imagine.
And of course, we know that
Yeah.
touching it and getting your hands in the soil and touching the plants, that these simple, simple things that we can all do. And a lot of people
It's just
quite simply don't believe it could be as
no,
easy as
I mean,
that.
going back to that it is that actual physical connection. I mean, I know if I drive out for a day and I'm heading out to Aberfoyle, just seeing the green, I immediately like, you know. And I mean, there's tons of trees in Glasgow, but just to see it just covered, it's just like it just totally relaxes my heart again. It's
I
yeah.
know. Well, I went up to Barmoloch. I mean, staying at my aunt's just now, which is beautiful. They've got the loch just out there and the
Mm.
hills. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's the countryside.
Mm.
But then I drove up to the farm and you just get out and it's just, I don't know, there's something in the garden,
It's a
the
different
trees,
energy.
the deer are over here, and it's just like, oh, so beautiful up there in that glen. You're really,
I
really
bet.
immersed in nature, and I suppose you're away from a lot of people as well. It's just absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
you feel it. And I think the more of this work that you do, the more you're just very aware of it. The body
You
just
long
reacts.
for it, I think. You long for that,
Yeah,
just chance to rest in that space, don't you, really? Which is interesting. I mean, I've always been a bit of I've brought up in the countryside and just
mhm,
it's where I go for peace and
yeah,
quiet. I'm disappearing off at Christmas and I just can't wait to just a fire, cup of cacao, and that's it. I won't need much else.
yeah. Exactly. Simple, simple
I
things.
know, yeah, I know.
Well, listen, I'm really excited to see you. And as
Me
I
too.
say, we had such an incredible weekend in Edinburgh. I'm really buzzing about this tour, because
Yeah, it'd be great.
it really is. It's the time and the power, and obviously the willingness of the women that are coming as well, just to get in about it.
I think it is really good, to bring people together where they can, they gather strength from each other as well. So that's, it's just lovely. Yeah.
I know,
Mhm.
great stuff. Okay, okay. So if you have any, I'll just put your website up here under. Is that the best way to contact you if
Yeah,
anybody?
that's fine. Website or Instagram or wherever. It's, you can message me however, really. I'm
Right.
normally pretty responsive, but it'll be nice to meet everybody and see how everyone
Yeah,
is too. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, thanks a million, and
No
I
bother.
shall see
I will see
you.
you very soon. Take care.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.